Hi, everybody, welcome to Kick It on the Side. I am Ray Sean. I am joined by Heather, JP, and Tim. How's everybody doing today?
Doing well. Yeah. Doing
I'm
pretty good.
good.
Doing pretty good.
Today is 75 degrees out here in the East Coast.
Oh, we ain't that warm, but
We're in the
we're in
60s.
the 60s.
That's actually a major upgrade from that snow that you just had.
Yeah.
We know it's getting close to getting warm again. It's supposed to get up into the 70s this weekend though, so I'm looking forward to that.
Last week we talked about the AFC East. This
South.
week we
Nope, we talked about the AFC North.
AFC North, thank you.
Oh,
Today we'll be talking about the NFC North.
correct.
Teams of Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, and the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Detroit Lions.
Uh,
It's all right. That's why I'm here.
I don't know where I got that from. I'm tired,
We'll
guys.
go in alphabetical order. We'll talk about the
Bears.
Bears first.
The Bears.
All right, everyone.
I've got some things to say about their fucking dumbasses. Anyway,
All right, we are going to start off with everyone's favorite team, the Chicago Bears.
definitely not my favorite team. None of these teams are my favorite team. If I wanted any one of these teams to fall off the face of the earth, it would be the Minnesota Vikings.
We have a big signing on DeAndre Swift, our running back.
I,
Who it was a 3-year contract to like what 30,
$24
25
million
million,
deal.
25 million deal. How you feel about
3
that?
years, $24 million. Is it a bigger signing? It isn't that big. They didn't need it.
I was just about to ask you, did they need this running back position?
Not at all.
What are they doing? They went
I
out.
think-
The biggest signing to me, or actually thing that they did, was a trade for Keenan Allen. However,
And I believe they also took Kevin Byard.
Here's the problem that I have with the Bears. They went out and got all these pieces on offense.
Dude, shit for defense.
No. And traded away the guy that they fucking drafted 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Who is the exact same as the guy that they're gonna fucking draft in the first round, which makes no fucking sense.
His hand motions are awesome.
The Bears are fucking dumb. And I understand that the guy that was the GM is not the guy that was running the show when they drafted Justin Fields. If this guy thinks that Caleb Williams is the next big thing, this guy will get fired in 4 years because Caleb Williams will be a bust. Caleb Williams, if Justin Fields is a bust, Caleb Williams will be a bust. They're the exact same thing. One has more experience than the other does. What in the fuck is this team fucking doing? They change quarterbacks every 3 years because they don't have the guy.
Because they never had the pieces around that guy.
Exactly. Now they
think
do,
they
and then they
still
trade this guy away. Are they? If I'm telling you right now, with all the pieces that they have here, that I'm looking at, especially on offense, if they would have had Justin Fields, I would say Chicago may win the NFC North.
They're playoff contention, that's for sure.
No, I think they win the NFC North. What are you doing?
They just keep going backwards every fucking year.
Yes, they draft a quarterback in the first, a top 10 pick. I think he was picked 11, though. I said he was the second best quarterback coming out of the fucking draft. He's definitely better than Zach Wilson. And arguably, who was the first pick in the draft that year?
Justin Herbert.
No. Was it Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I think it was.
I would argue that he's better than Joe Burrow coming out of college. The guy has a higher ceiling. Joe Burrow can't run. Joe Burrow can throw, and he's a great pocket passer, but he can't fucking run like fucking Justin Fields can. You put the pieces around Justin Fields, and I guarantee you've got a winner. This is why Pittsburgh is a threat in the NFC North.
Yep.
Because of Justin Fields. They're going to use him the way he should be used. He shouldn't be a pocket passer. They're going to try to do Caleb Williams and make him this guy. I don't see a piece of the puzzle on here where the offensive line is going to be able to protect him any better than they did last year.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
They haven't addressed any of the problems that they had from last year.
No.
Running back won't do shit if your offensive line can't block.
They can. Okay. Offensive line is a better better rush offensive line than they are a passing, blocking offensive line. Running the ball, they're fine. Passing the ball, they are about as mediocre gets.
I think the team just still rebranded from the 60s. They still building the team up.
They've had teams where they were pretty good.
Man.
So they signed Brett Rippon to a 1-year contract. What fucking good is he going to fucking do?
None.
As a backup to Caleb Williams.
Is he gonna, I was just about to say, is he going to be playing backup?
Who else do they have? The Tyler Badgett kid?
They got Kevin Byard as a safety.
Okay, good for them. Defensively, they weren't bad last year. They didn't need the pieces. They added pieces. Their defense is fine. DeAndre Swift, they didn't need him, but they went out and got him. Keenan Allen, they needed the receiver. But again, you're going to be playing with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, it don't make sense. They should have kept Justin Fields there. And then if they wanted that rookie quarterback.
If Justin Fields didn't pan out, then go ahead, Rayshawn. I know exactly what you're going to say, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal your thunder. I didn't mean to steal your thunder. Go ahead.
So basically what you was about to piggyback on, like if Justin Fields wasn't, going to produce the numbers that they're looking for or played well, then they had that star quarterback that they saw and that they see in the guy that they think about picking up.
So the thing is with that, they weren't going to, if they would have kept Justin Fields, they weren't going to draft a quarterback. I think they would have gone out in free agency and gotten a backup and then signed him to a 2-year deal and said, okay, we're going to let Justin Fields, if Justin Fields can't do this, then we'll move on from him. And then we'll draft a quarterback next year. I'm telling you right now, the quarterback class next year is better than the quarterback class this year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I've heard on reports too.
I don't know why people are so high on this Caleb Williams kid. He does nothing that Justin Fields can't do. And I'm going to argue he can do it better than Caleb Williams can. Caleb Williams has happy feet. I mean, happy feet.
What college Caleb Williams coming from?
Well, he started in Oklahoma and then the
USC.
Let me finish. The guy that took over, that was a head coach in Oklahoma, and I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. He went to USC and became the head coach there, so he went there. Wisconsin was going to try and get him. In fact, he was going to go to Wisconsin. If they can't think of it, it's on the tip of my tongue. But if he would have gone pro, Caleb Williams probably would have gone to Wisconsin. And then we'd probably be... I wouldn't want the kid. I think he would be a good quarterback for Wisconsin because they can run the ball. But I don't know, man. I don't know. He was a highly touted recruit coming out. I think he was the number one recruit coming out. That's... But he's nowhere near a Trevor Lawrence. Everybody says he's better than Trevor Lawrence. I want to know what them fucking people are fucking smoking.
I'd like some of what they are smoking then, please.
Right?
But are they saying anything of value? Like, are they giving any reasons?
He's good. He's good. The problem that I have is you're drafting the same guy that you drafted 4 years ago. So why are you moving on from the guy you drafted 4 years ago if it's the same fucking player? It makes no fucking sense to me. And now they're doing the same thing that the fucking Jets did.
Which is dumb.
Chasing the quarterback.
They did the same thing with fucking Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is pretty good coming out of college. Right? Put the pieces around him and he'll be okay. They didn't put the pieces around him and then they fucking blamed him for the fucking downfall of the team. Which is fucking makes no sense. That's on coaching. And this whole fucking, well, I didn't draft this guy.
It doesn't
Well,
matter.
then why are you a fucking GM? If you can't work with the guy that was drafted in the previous regime, the fuck are you doing? Like, if I had that caliber of talent, I'd be like, okay, I can work with this. We'll just get the pieces to put around him and go from there. Why do I need to go out and draft another quarterback? What good is, well, we have the number one pick. Do you have to waste the number one pick on a fucking quarterback all the time? How often does that pan out?
Never.
Defensive players pan out more. There's probably been like 5 quarterbacks that I can think of since Peyton Manning that have actually panned out after being the first pick in the draft.
Was Brady a first pick?
He was a fucking 6th rounder.
Brady was number 199, as Patriots fans want to remind people all the time.
Kyler Murray was a... I'm going to call him a bust.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Joe Burrow was worth. I mean, Joe Burrow or Justin Fields would have been a good number one pick. I think, personally. Just based on what I've seen. Let's look at first round picks in general. Do you want to know what I honestly think of Caleb Williams? I think all the talent is there. I think he's Johnny Manziel. Just in a different color skin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being racist by that. I'm being straight up with you. I really, and that's the only difference that I see. Johnny Manziel could make all the throws in college, but his attitude fucking sucks. That's the biggest downfall for Caleb Williams. If his attitude was great, and he's like, I don't care who I go to. This kid thinks that he's just going to come in and win. And they went out and got these pieces because they know they can't. If what they did, Chicago, if what they did is what I think, this Ryan Poles, who is the GM, he went out and got all these pieces because he knows he might get fired. If I was an owner of a team, you go out and get all these pieces. I would have said I'm going to tell you right now, I'm giving you 1 fucking year. If you think Caleb Williams is as good as you think he is, and he doesn't pan out, you're gone. Because you have no idea what fucking talent you're looking at.
Oh, you talking about like the front office, like whoever's
if I
doing
if I was in charge of who I hire and fire, he'd be gone. He'd be the first one fucking gone.
I mean, at this point of the gesture, you should know talent. You shouldn't be feeding into like.
You are correct. Go ahead.
I don't think you should be feeding into the hype. That's like going out getting arrested because everybody's talking about that wrestler, but that wrestler can't fucking wrestle.
I don't think you have to be able to wrestle to be in wrestling anymore. You can be taught to wrestle.
Yep.
It's those that don't buy in to what's being taught to them. I'm gonna WWE this for a couple of minutes. I love what WWE is doing with their talent. They're going out and they are getting athletes that they can teach how to do the things that they want them to do. Because they're athletes. You look at the other side of the spectrum, AEW, they go out and get these indie talents that like fucking shoving fucking metal or glass tubes up each other's asses. And think that that's what fucking wrestling is. That's not fucking wrestling, everybody. Anybody that
AEW
thinks,
picked up
and
free
I've said
agents.
this, and I've said this, and I'm going to be going back to a fucking wrestling show. I'm going to do a review of wrestling. After this weekend, and I said it, after this weekend, I am full on back into fucking wrestling. Before I was just watching it. But the more that I watch, the better off it is getting. This past weekend, I have faith in wrestling again. To actually want to give a shit about reviewing it.
And it's
That's
a
all I'm
new
gonna
season they started, so it'll be good for you to start.
That will be coming down the pipeline. I'm going to let the weekend because it's going to be all shows. And I'll even review AEW too. But I'm not going to fucking... We'll review each match. I'm not going to talk about... And I might talk a little bit about why it's stupid or why it's good. But other than that, that's a whole nother issue. Back to football.
Right.
That is how you build a fucking team. You go out and get the pieces that you pick a player that you're going to put the pieces around. And it's usually a quarterback. Defensively, it's a linebacker. In my opinion, if you have a good inside linebacker, you can build pieces around that guy. You can build pieces around a quarterback and put pieces around him. You don't just go out, get the number one pick and think, we're going to win the Super Bowl in 2 years. You aren't going to fucking win shit if you don't fucking put something around him. That's what it's... Why do you think New England was so fucking successful for 20 fucking years? It wasn't just because of Tom Brady. It's because they put the pieces around him to make him successful. If everybody thinks that Tom Brady did it all by himself, you're a fucking idiot. Because you couldn't put the pieces around Tom Brady if he's asking for $50 million a year. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. That's what I'm saying when it comes to football. These general managers, they just say, we need the number one pick. We're going to take a quarterback, and then we're not going to put pieces around him. That don't work. Okay. That don't work in the NFL. You still have to put pieces around him because you have a salary cap. Baseball is completely different. Wrestling is completely different. That's all I'm saying. You can't just rely on one position to win you a Super Bowl. And everybody, for some fucking reason, thinks that Tom Brady was the reason that New England was really good every year. I can tell you right now, if Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, if he didn't have the pieces, they weren't going to fucking win shit.
Oh, yeah. I agree. Because I don't think Tampa Bay was doing such amazing work before Brady got there.
No, they were, but they didn't have the whole complement of pieces. They were missing one or two things. Once they got... I'm going to be honest with you. The year Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, Tom Brady was not the best player on the field that day. That was Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette should have been the MVP. And anybody thinking that Tom Brady should have been the MVP is a fucking idiot. I don't think Tom Brady should have won MVPs for every fucking Super Bowl they won. The one that he should have won, maybe two. Maybe he should have won two, but the first one, there's no way. Didn't they give him the MVP on the the game between Seattle?
Yeah, they gave him the MVP.
What did he do?
And
what did he do?
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
You disagree that he should have won it?
No, I disagree that he should have. He won.
So that's one. The second Super Bowl wasn't because of him. It was because of their fucking defense.
03? Yeah, it was it. Oh, they had an all-time defense.
Come on.
03 and 04.
Come on, man. It wasn't because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a great quarterback. I am not taking anything away from him. He helped get them there, but to win the Super Bowl wasn't because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, yeah, he had to throw the ball all the time because they couldn't fucking move the ball. And half the time they were behind in some of those games. And he had to throw the ball all over the fucking field. Because they couldn't fucking move the ball when they needed to move fucking ball. They relied on their defense. Their defense, more often than not, should have won that. One of those players should have won the MVP. The kid that did the pickoff on the fucking goal line stand should have won the MVP. I would argue on the first one that the kid that was a running back for them should have won the MVP that year.
Fuck.
Well, is he the one that had like 4 or 5 catches on that final drive to get him into the position?
Kevin Fuck. He didn't come over like 03 or 04.
Either way. It doesn't matter. My point is, Tom Brady isn't the only reason why New England won Super Bowls, because they put the pieces. The pieces are putting a puzzle together is what makes a GM. And this is why Gutekunst is so good. We'll get to him. He's putting the pieces around Jordan Love, and he's doing it through the draft. Because I'm telling you right now, in about 2 years, Green Bay's receiving core is probably going to be the best receiving core in the NFL.
That's actually a great segue. Let's
go to Detroit first.
Oh, you want to go to Detroit?
Let's go to Detroit.
Alphabet. Oh. Little pizza.
Yep.
All right, Detroit Lions. Now, this is my team to pick for the Super Bowl.
Yes, I cannot disagree with you.
They showed real promise last season.
So I do want to. So I do want to go back to Chicago just real quick. So I'm gonna, and I know you said defense is a reason why they re-signed Jalen Johnson, 4-year, $76 million deal. He's worth it. Kevin Byard, really good safety. Considered one of the best safeties in the league. Jonathan Owens, they signed him. He was in Green Bay last year, and he's part of the reason why that defense was much, much improved.
He's also Simone Biles' husband.
Yes. He's much improved at the end of the year. I'm gonna say this.
Come on, St. Brown.
No. Amen. Ogbon Bamija. Ogbon Bamija. Signed
What is it, like an
signed a
African
one-year,
name?
$2.1 million deal. Signed a $2.1 million deal. That's just a 1-year deal. That's just a filler position. Because they have a good defense. I will say that. So if Chicago is going to rely on their defense to win them games, they are not going to win very many.
No, because you need to score points.
They do have the offensive pieces, and they had this 5 years ago, and did nothing with it. Because they had Alshon Jeffrey, and they had this guy. This is the same fucking thing that they're doing, not with Justin Fields, but the year before. Alshon Jeffrey moved on to Philadelphia.
You're talking Mitch Trubisky.
That's when they
days.
won their Super Bowl, huh?
You're talking the Mitch Trubisky days.
Yes. Mitch Trubisky, if they would have let him, but they ended up just not being able to keep the players. That's the problem.
Right.
That's all I wanted to say. They really didn't do. They did sign Gerald Everett, who is a pretty good tight end. They solidified some of their depth on offensive line, and then they signed a quarterback. So, because I know this is free agency talk, but that's all I wanted to go with there. So, Detroit. We can move on to Detroit. Detroit signed Nate Sudfeld. He's okay. He was in Philadelphia. He's an okay backup. He can come in. He can come in and fill in if somebody gets hurt. But I don't think he could start 17 games for you.
No.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, pretty good receiver. They need a little bit more depth at receiver. He's just another weapon to add to the fucking arsenal for Jared Goff. Graham Glasgow, pretty good offensive lineman, signed a 3-year, $20 million extension, so they re-signed him. Kevin Zeitler, probably one of the best offensive linemen in the game, one of the best guards in the game. He came from Baltimore. Dan Skipper signed a free agent deal. Don't know too much about him. Marcus Davenport signed a 1-year deal. He came from New Orleans. He's pretty good defensive line. He's a first-round pick that just didn't pan out in New Orleans because they just drafted a bunch of first-round picks in New Orleans. DJ Reader, he came from Cincinnati. He signed a 2-year deal worth up to $27.25 million. So that's 13. He's one of the higher-paid defensive linemen. Jalen Reeves-Maben, I think he came from... Oh, he signed an extension. Carlton Davis, he came from Tampa Bay. He was acquired in a trade with Tampa Bay. They got a 6th-round pick for him. He's a pretty good cornerback. And it's a Green Bay thing. That's a Chicago-Green Bay thing because they think Caleb Williams is the next big thing. Emmanuel Mosley, pretty good cornerback.
He did good for them last year.
Amik Robertson, I think he was like a 2nd-round pick. He signed. Kendall Vildor, depth. Kicker, Michael Badgley. He's a pretty good kicker. And long snapper, Scott Daly.
They basically just re-signed a lot of people.
Detroit didn't need a lot. Because they have a lot of their key pieces there. They just added some things to get better.
Right. I actually like when a team actually don't really need to like go out and sign so much. They keep they talent with them and grow from within.
Keeping your talent is really hard, especially at the quarterback position, because quarterbacks are now asking for $50 to $60 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna swallow the salary.
It's going to be really hard for a quarterback to finish his career. This is why you're wasting. I think getting a quarterback in the 1st round is a stupid idea.
It is. You should at least wait for a 2nd or 3rd round at the very least.
You're not betting. You're not drafting for the. You're drafting a quarterback for another team essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to then. That's what's going to become, I think. Because quarterbacks are going to ask for ungodly amounts of money, and there's going to put pieces around him. And that quarterback's going to be thinking that he's the reason why the team was so good. The reason the team was so good. I don't see it. I don't see it. I see that becoming a problem in the NFL.
And it's going to happen in a hurry.
Unless they raise the fucking salary cap to $500 million a year. Which I don't think they're going to fucking do. Because I think they raised it again. It's like $200 million, I think. 200 some million now is the salary.
Yeah, 270, I think.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's because quarterbacks are, and yes, it's $1 billion industry. NFL can afford to do it, but why give each team $1 billion when you don't need to?
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then then free agency really becomes non-existent. I think that would be great if free agency becomes non-existent again. I hate free agency, to be honest with you. I think it takes away. Why have the draft?
Understandable.
Do you see what I'm saying? I understand why they do the draft, but it becomes obsolete because these fucking quarterbacks. You look at fucking Justin Herbert and fucking Joe Burrow. You got fucking Patrick Mahomes got $45 million a year for the next 10 years after his first contract.
Yep.
Yes, he's really good. Yes, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But Aaron Rodgers was the same way. He's 2 years into the fucking existence of Aaron Rodgers. He was already considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He wasn't asking for $50 million a year. Was he asking for $25 million a year? Sure.
But he deserves it. That's the difference.
That's all.
20 to 50. That's a lot.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Back then it was. That was 15, 16 years ago.
But all in all, Lions looking really good.
Lions are going to win the division again, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're going to take that next step. They may make the Super Bowl. We'll see what they do.
Depending on if they can have the same team. Because they do have the same team, essentially. Because of the re-signings. But if they can play like they played last year,
Well, they've lost some players, but we'll see what they do. I like what Detroit's done. I know Ray Sean wanted to do this, so I'd like to get his thoughts on it.
Yeah, like I said, I like that they are continuing to build around what they have. The team that they had last season, what we just witnessed, the Lions did a really good job last season, at least in my opinion.
no, they
You
definitely
know,
showed a lot of promise last season.
you know what I'm saying? So if they could just keep re-sign the people that they can re-sign, and I'm pretty sure they lost a couple of players, but
Every
just
team
keep
loses
building
a couple.
around that.
Every team loses a couple of players.
Yeah, just keep
Yeah.
building around that, and potential Super Bowl contenders. I'm happy for them.
Agreed. Tim, any thoughts?
No, I really don't have any thoughts on this.
Okay.
You don't like Lions?
Oh no, I like what they're doing, and they have a chance of repeating as with winning the NFC North again this year. They don't need much. They don't need to add much.
Right.
If anything, they could trade with others teams just for a future round picks, a future draft picks.
Yeah,
Because I don't think they need anything this year.
They do. Every team has needs.
Well, what I mean is like they don't need like so much.
They
where
They're not
they,
on the struggling end.
They could use a linebacker. They have holes on defense. They have holes on defense. They can add to that though. They're not so glaring.
mm-hmm.
That they like the Vikings is a glare. They have a glaring.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, they do.
They're getting better, but they still have a glaring hole on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings is another team that took a lot of steps backwards.
Who?
The Vikings.
The Vikings.
They did. We'll get to them. They'll be the.
It didn't help that their quarterback got sidelined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad he doesn't play for them anymore.
Right?
Because I don't know if they have yet, and we'll get to him.
Eventually. First,
They
we
haven't.
gotta talk the cheeseheads.
We'll talk Green Bay. I'll give my thoughts. I want you guys to talk about them, and I'll just call you fucking idiots. But go ahead. I can tell. I have who they signed. I'm going to tell you who they signed so far. So they re-signed AJ Dillon. I think that was a good signing. I think they re-signed him for 1 year. And the only reason they re-signed him for 1 year is because they signed Josh Jacobs to a 4-year, $48 million contract. I think A.J. Dillon is always going to be that guy. He's never going to be the starter, but he's a great fill-in guy where he's a short yardage guy. Because he's 6'1", he's 6 foot, 250 pounds. He can run a 4.40, but they don't need him to run a 4.40. He can break tackles. And
like
when
Gus
it's
Edwards.
cold, you don't want to try to tackle a 6 foot, 250 pound guy
Yeah, that's
in the cold ass weather. So this is why Ron Dane came to Wisconsin 20 years ago. He came to Wisconsin because it's cold. He was gonna get the fucking ball. Everybody wanted him to be a fullback, and Barry Alvarez said, "Why don't you come to Wisconsin? We'll give you the ball 35, 40 times a fucking game." And they did. He became. I argue with people that he is probably, if we're talking just running back, probably the best pure running back college football has ever seen. Because of what he could do with the football when it was fucking cold. If you put him in USC, sure he could do it, but man, you try and tackle that fucking bus coming at you in cold fucking weather, good fucking luck. You're gonna fucking not want to take that hit that he's going to give you. AJ Dillon is that guy. And
With the signing of Josh Jacobs and the re-signing of AJ Dillon, I think they would utilize Josh Jacobs throughout the game and then put AJ in there for like the red zone.
So the Packers offered, Packers offered Aaron Jones, who was the running back at the time. They said, let's give you a pay cut. You can stay in Green Bay. He didn't want to take the pay cut. Because Green Bay wants to sign people, but they never can because players don't take pay cuts. They don't take hometown discounts, right? So they're like, well, fuck you. We're going to sign this guy who is younger, probably better at... He don't fumble the fucking ball. He's younger and bigger
And faster.
and faster than you are. We're going to sign this guy to the same fucking deal we gave you.
And you can go bye-bye.
And you can go bye-bye. And we'll re-sign A.J. Dillon. That just gives us room to re-sign A.J. Dillon, who wants to be in Green Bay.
Yeah. That's the difference, though. When you get players that want to be there. It's like when you look at the Ravens. You have Lamar Jackson. Yes, he held off on signing a contract.
And I can understand why. I can understand why because... And I can understand why he did it. Because of who signed a big contract the same time he did. He's won an MVP. They haven't. But go ahead.
I was going to say that, but thank you for interrupting
I'm sorry.
me.
They're interrupting people.
You have people like Derrick Henry. He wanted to be in Baltimore. OBJ, he wanted to be in Baltimore. He still wants to be in Baltimore. You have these players that want to be on a team. They're going to play their hardest for the team that they want to be on.
I don't think he's going to be in Baltimore, though. I think he's going to move on. To
Eventually he will. I think he's going to for one more season.
No. I think he's gone after this year.
What team has he stayed on for, like,
He's
5
become
years at least?
OBJ has become basically mercenary.
The thing about OBJ is he gets it now.
Yeah, he's matured.
He's matured. He knows it's not about him anymore.
But he's basically become a mercenary. He jumped from team to team.
I don't think that's why he's doing it. He's not doing. He wants to stay in Baltimore. He wants.
He did a fine job last season.
He does not. He does not want to leave Baltimore. I just don't think Baltimore is going to have the room for him. I don't think it's because he wants to be a mercenary. He's won a fucking Super Bowl. He doesn't need it. Sure, he wants another one, but he's not going to go somewhere where,
on paper, it's a guarantee.
Yeah. I think he wants to go somewhere, which I guess you could call him a mercenary, but I don't think that's why he's doing it. He's going to go to somebody that's going to contend for a Super Bowl. I don't
think it's his fault entirely, right?
No.
It's not. It's just they don't have the money.
Right.
I mean, when he was on the Rams, and they went to the Super Bowl, he couldn't play because he tore his ACL, and then.
Yeah, early in that the game, I think the first quarter he tore it.
Yeah. And then from there, it's like, well, we don't really want to pay you for just sitting on the sideline.
Right.
So.
I think
because it would be that whole entire season he would be out no matter what.
Yeah.
So Josh Jacobs, they signed Josh Jacobs because he's younger, faster, stronger. Aaron Jones is 30. Josh Jacobs is 26.
Yeah, and you could build around that,
But they don't need to. They don't. They're putting pieces together for Jordan Love. They're not building around Josh Jacobs.
No. What I mean is you could grow from that because he's still young.
Right. Well, they have I think Green Bay is not going to add too many offensive pieces. Their offensive line, yes. Defensive or skill positions, you might see them take somebody in the 7th round, but they aren't going. Man, come on.
Yeah, they're not going to balls to the wall.
They have Christian Watson, who I guess has figured out. They figured out why he was getting hurt all the time. They have him on a regimen. Fucking Romeo Doubs came into his own. He was that guy can catch.
Yes, he can.
He's making catches that OBJ was making, and he's about 25 pounds heavier than OBJ is. And about 5 inches taller than OBJ is. So he's a very athletic, big receiver I shouldn't say 5 inches, probably about 3 inches bigger. Jaden Reed, they signed him. They can do so many things with that kid. They do the jet sweeps. He's the guy. He is the number one for Green Bay because that's the kind of guy Matt LaFleur wants. Mm-hmm. Because he can have him doing jet sweeps. He can have him. He's a Randall Cobb guy, but better at being Randall Cobb. Mm-hmm. If everybody knows who I'm talking about. A lot of fans probably don't know who Randall Cobb was when he was younger. He started out as a quarterback, went to running back, and then moved to receiver. So he played 3 of the skilled positions in college. So he knows how to fucking play the position. He just got old.
Unfortunately, it happens to everybody.
So
getting old cops.
They aren't. They have Dontavian Wicks, who is a big receiver and can catch in traffic. They love him. I think he's good. I'm not quite sold on him, but he is gonna get there. Bo Melton, they got him off of the waiver wire. He's been a fucking surprise. Their depth at wide receiver, even though their receiving core is very young, is
Pretty
probably the
substantial.
best, youngest receiving core in the NFL. And by the end of it, if they stick together, they will be the best receiving core to ever play in the NFL. And that's saying a lot with a lot like Andre Reed and James Lofton. Good Lord. Sterling Sharp and fucking, I mean, come on, man. I'm telling you, it's that good. They re-signed Tyler Davis, who's a tight end. He's been there. He knows the offense. He can work with those tight ends to get better. And I'm talking about Luke Musgrave. Again, look at the receiving core. Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. Are you kidding me? This receiving core, this fucking core of offense that Green Bay has, good luck. If you're a defensive back in the NFL, who are you going to double? Especially if they develop.
It's a pick and choose, and you better choose right.
They re-signed Eric Wilson, who's a great special teams guy and has a great depth chart for linebacker. Corey Ballantyne, they re-signed him. Their cornerbacks, they're probably going to go out defense. They re-signed Keyshawn Nixon, who was an all-pro at kick returns. They signed him to a 3-year deal worth $18 million. I think he's going to be trade bait, though. Because when Jaden Reed becomes a thing, he's going to be that guy. He's going to be doing kick returns. He's going to be a receiver. He's going to be the jet sweep guy. He's going to be that. What do they call him? The Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
He's the Swiss Army knife of that offense. The other big signing that Green Bay had is safety Xavier McKinney. He's considered one of the best safeties in the game right now. They signed him to a 4-year deal worth $68 million, including $25 million in year 1. So a lot of his deal is front loaded, which helps with salary cap.
Oh yeah.
And then they signed kicker Greg Joseph, and I think that's just competition for Anders Carlson, who did struggle as a rookie last year. So Green Bay, as far as free agency goes, I'm going to let you guys talk, and then I will jump in as we.
Oh, it's idiots.
No, I'm not.
Well, as far as free agency goes, they didn't really do much. They signed 2 people.
But they're 2 pieces that they needed desperately.
Oh, sorry, they signed 3.
They're gonna do a lot of
Greg Joseph, Xavier McKinney.
Greg Joseph really isn't a big pickup. It's just competition for Anders Carlson to get him on track.
No, I'm not saying it was a big deal. I'm just saying as far as people they signed versus those that they re-signed.
Well,
again, this is another team that is young and
they're the youngest team in the NFL.
And it's like a rebranding of whatever we was used to seeing, and we're just going to see a lot of young people, and they're going to develop these young guys into superstars. And with the Lions,
let me tell you something about Green Bay real quick, and I'll shut up.
Sure you will.
Okay.
Green Bay did not.
I've heard that before.
Well, if you shut up, then I can fucking say what I have to say. Green Bay did not have a guy over 30 years of age on their team.
Yep. Which is surprising because I thought Bakhtiari was exactly 30.
No, he is, but who actually played.
Right.
So he's like 32, I think. But he's not with the team anymore.
No.
Okay.
They released him. The thing is, they do not have a guy over. I mean, Greg Joseph might be 31, but as a player that plays 4 downs, I think Preston Smith is the oldest player on that team at 30.
Yeah, they're just keeping the team fresh, man.
So free agency, they got younger,
Yeah.
but better.
It got younger, better, sleeker.
Yes,
slicker.
They did. Yes.
I mean, you could always appreciate that.
Yeah, the only thing you got to worry about is tempers and passions flying.
Yeah.
When you're that young, you get fired up really easily.
Yeah.
Especially on the defensive side.
Oh, yes. So things may get a little chippy. But, yeah, Green Bay did really well with the re-signees and the 3 players that they picked up, I think. I think they're going to do better this year. Well, Rayshawn left. There we go.
Rayshawn's back.
Your internet cut out.
No. I am surprised you're having so much problems with Spectrum. We don't have that many problems out here.
It's fucking ridiculous. Temporarily though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have Spectrum forever.
But I think once you leave New York, the Spectrum will get better for you. Because like I said,
In
we
New York?
very rarely have problems out here with the actual internet with Spectrum.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if the internet atmosphere is so congested. Everybody's just using it.
It could be. I mean, you're in New York,
like a
over
small
30 million
area.
people.
It's such a small little area with a lot of people in it.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah.
So,
Twins.
sit over there if you want to.
okay. So I will say this. I don't know what you guys said because I was talking to Wendy. I'm sorry. So what did you say?
I said the only thing you might really have to watch out for with such young players is very hot tempers and passions flaring up.
I think your mistakes. Oh, Rayshawn.
Hey, there's Rayshawn again.
Yeah, he's having internet issues.
Mistakes. There he is. Mistakes are a big thing with Green Bay, with a young team. No matter how good the talent is, mistakes are huge. A huge thing. And it's all about the coaching at that point, which is why I think Green Bay keeps their players young. Because there's a lot of players out there that are really good, but they keep making the same fucking mistakes over and over and over and over and over again, and they never learn from them. This is why you see Green Bay, when they move on from somebody, it's because they keep making those mistakes over and over and over and over again. I don't give a fuck how good you are. If I am a football coach, I want my team to learn from their mistakes. I don't care
Right.
how good you are. If you make a mistake, it's gonna you're gonna make, like, holding. That's gonna happen. That's a given. I mean, every player's going to do that. But when you start doing the stupid shit, as far as holding goes, that's where I have a problem. Okay, dude, I understand that, you know, the rule sucks sometimes, but you keep, blatantly holding. You've got to understand, when that player pulls away from you, let go of his jersey. Just let him fucking go. But don't let him go. Try to move your feet. Move your feet. Get to that fucking spot that he's trying to get to. Get in front of him. You won't hold. That will not be holding. That's the problem with players today. Sometimes some defensive players, offensive linemen, they're so big they can't move as fast as some of the defensive linemen can. Because what is an offensive lineman doing? On running plays, yes, they're moving forward, but usually on running plays, their initial contact is right away, like immediate. It's immediate contact, and that's when the sled comes into play. When you are passing, you're taking a step back. You're trying to give the quarterback time to throw the ball. So you're taking that step back. That's why you see a lot of offensive tackles take a step outside, because when they take a step outside, especially if that defensive lineman is starting wide, that defensive lineman has to go maybe just a little wider unless he comes inside, and that's when that offensive guard has to step out and clog that hole so that that defensive lineman doesn't get to the quarterback. Offensive line is a very difficult position to play.
It is.
Because
especially in today's NFL.
Especially when you get to the NFL. Because, and that's why it's being an offensive tackle in the NFL is sometimes the second highest paid position on the field. Think about it as to why. Because they have to ensure that that guy that's getting paid $50 million a year
doesn't get touched
and is upright. So that he can make his throws, to make his 50 million, so that his team can get to the Super Bowl, so that his team can win it. Because without that offensive line, and that's why I go back to the fucking Bears, they better draft a bunch of fucking offensive linemen, because that's just what I see. That's what I see. Green Bay has a good core of offensive linemen. I think what they will do in the draft, I think what they will do in the draft this year is they should go offensive line heavy. Because they don't have John Runyon anymore. They don't have David Bakhtiari. They have a good core of three guys, I think. They still have Myers, who's an all right center. They have what's his name? The left guard. I can't think of his name right now. And then they have Zach Tom. I think they have a good core of guys, but just getting depth just in case somebody goes down.
Right.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're going to do in the draft. I think they might go out and get another safety. I've seen Cooper DeJean be that guy. I think everybody's, he's a quarterback because he can run a 4.4 40. I don't give a fuck if he can run a fucking 4.1 40. Can he fucking make a tackle? Can he make a play? Can he do this? They got to remember, college to the NFL is completely different. So he ran a 4.4 40. So I think he's going to end up being a safety in the NFL. And he's going to be a ball hawk safety, which is what Green Bay lacks. Because Darnell Savage is not with the team anymore.
Should be a fun year to watch.
Green Bay, I said it last year, Green Bay should not have won any more than 5 games last year. Based on where they were and with what they had. What I'm going to tell you is this team is a year away. And I think they may be in the NFC title game against Detroit. There's some really good teams in the NFC this year. I think Green Bay is going to surprise some people because of what they did last year. If they progress, Green Bay is a danger to everybody in the NFC.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. I think Green Bay again, maybe 9 wins or 10 wins. I don't think they're winning the division. I think Detroit will probably finish 12-5 this year. And may be the top seed in the NFC. San Francisco.
I don't think San Francisco is going to be all that good.
We'll get to them. I haven't looked at what they've done. I'm not saying San Francisco isn't going to be good, but I don't think they're going to make it as far as they did last year.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the point I was trying to make.
We'll see, because teams got surprising last year.
Green Bay should have beat San Francisco last year. Detroit should have beat San Francisco last year. And
Philadelphia
what did I say? What did I say? No, the Philadelphia took a step back.
Oh yeah,
The-
especially at the end of the season. They
I'm going to tell you right now, it was all on
I
Jalen
agree.
Hurts. It was all on Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts and then everybody else behind him. Not players, but coaching.
I would argue you're wrong.
Nah.
I would.
That man was hurt all year.
Who?
Jalen.
Okay.
The coach put him on the field.
Okay.
It's a coaching thing.
Hold on.
You know what?
Let me ask you. Go ahead, Heather.
How do you know Jalen Hurts didn't sit there and say, "Yeah, it hurts, but you know what? I still want to play."
It's still a coaching thing.
I'm gonna. Tell
It doesn't matter if my play. I'm in charge of
Who
you.
is the backup quarterback for Philadelphia?
Wasn't it? It's some fucking
Was
kid.
it Minshew at that point?
Nah, it wasn't Minshew. Minshew was already gone.
Minshew was in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Go to Spot Rack for me real quick.
Spot right.
That'll tell me who the backup quarterback was.
Okay.
Hit enter.
I think I only saw him like on
Go to NFL.
preseason.
Go to Philadelphia. It's alphabetical.
Yeah, I know.
It's all the way on the last one. It's the second one from the top. Go to positional spending. Top. Right there. Scroll down. Oh, no, go to multi-year. I am so sorry. Go to multi-year. There you go. Scroll down.
Kenny Pickett.
Nope. Kenny Pickett was traded. Go to I don't know. Okay, so I don't know who the back was. Tanner McKee. Go to him. Was he drafted?
That sounds right.
Okay, so it was probably Tanner McKee. I would trust Jalen Hurts more at 50% than I would Tanner McKee at 100%.
Yeah,
see
but
what I mean?
that's I mean,
So again,
who signed him?
Rayshawn, think about it. Would you rather have a guy that is proven to be a decent quarterback or a guy that is a rookie that has never been put on the field?
You know what I rather? I rather not have my quote unquote star quarterback continue to embarrass himself and put out.
He didn't embarrass himself though. That's the problem. He actually played pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fact. The problem. Well, the reason I say it was Jalen Hurts is because he was putting too much pressure on himself to fucking win games. When he didn't need to, he had two running backs that he could rely on. He had three receivers that he could rely on.
That's what make Lamar Jackson better because he actually utilized.
I'm not gonna argue that. I agree with you. But Jalen Hurts put so much pressure on. This is what I said it when we did the review last week of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson puts all of this pressure on himself that he feels he needs to do it all in order to win a game. There is a fine line between doing it and trying to get your team involved. He had three receivers on that team, especially two. Philadelphia has the best receiving core in the NFL. He did not use them right at all.
Nope.
That was on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts from a year ago would have, if you would have gotten the Jalen Hurts from a year ago, we would not be talking about San Francisco in the Super Bowl this year. That's all I'm saying.
He took so long getting out of the pocket, holding on the ball.
Do you want to know why? Because he was trying to be a pocket passer.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Lamar Jackson failed in the AFC Championship game? He tried to be in a pocket passer.
Yep.
When he stopped being a fucking pocket passer in that game and started doing his own thing, if he would have done that all game, I think we'd be talking Baltimore in the Super Bowl and not Kansas City.
Like how it should have been, but
Well, Baltimore screwed themselves.
They did.
yeah.
The defense didn't show up either.
No, which was fucking frustrating as hell. But moving on now to the last team of the NFC North, we got the Vikings.
And they made a lot of fucking moves.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy mix of re-sign and new sign.
So they signed Sam Darnold to a 1-year deal. He will probably be their starter. They signed Aaron Jones to a 1-year, $7 million deal. Now, before everybody goes out and says, why didn't Green Bay offer him? Why did this motherfucker took less of a deal than what fucking Green Bay offered him as a pay cut?
And he still wanted more.
No. He Green Bay offered him like $7.58 million. $7.5 to $8 million a year for that pay cut. He took a lesser deal to go to Minnesota.
So he still took a pay cut. Like, what's wrong with this dude?
He just didn't want to be in Green Bay anymore. And
No.
didn't want to say it.
No, he just didn't want to take a pay cut.
It's the term pay cut. Hey, Jones, would you like to take a pay cut and help us build this team for the future? No. Hey, I'm gonna sign you the $7 million deal. Would you like to join us? Sign. What?
Yeah.
The only reason he signed was to get back at Green Bay. Is that going to work? Probably not.
Because he went
I
to
mean,
the
once he-
Vikings.
Because, and I'll tell you why it's probably not going to work. They have a guy on their fucking team right now, probably, you would argue, is probably one of the best receivers in the game today, in Justin Jefferson,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who
And
has
he's
not...
going to get more playtime than he is.
No, Aaron Jones will start. Justin Jefferson has not signed a deal. I think he's on his 5th-year option, but usually the 5th-year option doesn't last very long.
Nope.
Because they sign a deal, like an extension of some kind. He hasn't signed it yet.
No. I don't think he's going to either.
Oh, what if he go to Green Bay?
He won't.
He'll probably end up...
The only...
All right.
I'm going to say this. The only player that I see going to Green Bay that is a veteran as a receiver was there 2 years ago.
Devontae Adams?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he left to play with his best friend Derek Carr, and then Derek Carr got traded almost
He's
immediately after he signed.
He's mad at the
Yeah.
Raiders because of this. I could see him going to New Orleans.
Devontae Adams and the New Orleans Saints
With Alvin
might
Kamara.
might make the Saints a fucking threat again in the South, but whatever.
That receiving core would then be solidified as being the best. I mean, the Jesus Christ, they're right there.
Yeah. You got Alvin Kamara, and then you add in Devontae Adams. You're fucking done.
They got Chris Olave. Then they have Johnson, or the kid from Ohio State, Michael Johnson. I think, I can't remember his name. But let's move on from that. They have not signed Justin Jefferson yet. Brandon Powell re-signed a 1-year deal. Trent Sherfield signed a free agent deal. He came from San Francisco, and I can't remember where else he came from. Johnny Munt re-signed with the Falcons. David Quisenberry re-signed with the Vikings. Dan Freeney signed a 1-year deal. Jonathan Greenard, who is a big signing for them, probably their biggest signing on here. Jonathan Greenard, he signed and he's a defensive end for Houston Texans last year, signed a 4-year, $76 million deal. Andrew Van Ginkel, who I watched play college football at Wisconsin, is a very good linebacker, a very good pass rushing edge. Jihad Ward, another fucking edge rusher. Jerry Tillery signed a 1-year deal. He's a former first-round pick. Jonathan Bullard, Jonah Williams, both defensive linemen, both re-signed with the Vikings. What?
Jonathan Bullard re-signed.
Yes, but
Jonathan Williams signed.
Jonah Williams signed a fucking deal. Who cares? Whatever. Blake Cashman, all right, linebacker. He signed a 3-year deal, $25.5 million. Played in Houston last year. Kumu Grugier Hill, he's a good re-signing for them. He's a good signing for them.
Yeah.
Shaquille Griffin, he's a pretty decent signing for them. And John Parker Romo signed. He's a kicker. So I've seen nothing that tells me that Minnesota is going to be a threat
At all.
Nope.
The only way that they do is if Justin Jefferson resigns.
Yeah.
Now he's going to play this year, but I'm going to tell you right now, if they do not re-sign him, what are they doing? They might even go after a quarterback in the first round. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bears might be better than the Vikings.
They might be.
Just a little bit, yeah. With what the Bears got versus what the Vikings got right now,
Yeah.
pending the draft.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand like why teams just continue just to go backwards. I mean, granted, sometimes you have to go at least one step backwards just to take 5 steps forward, but this team is just backwards.
So when I was a kid growing up, just a little 10-year-old kid watching Green Bay Packer football, Minnesota and Chicago were the 2 best teams in that division. Green Bay was an afterthought. Detroit, every now and then, had actually a good football team.
And then they fell under the 30 to 40 year curse.
Oh, they've been under more than a 30 to 40 year curse. They haven't won a title since 1960, I don't think.
Just like the Mets.
They haven't been, well, the Mets.
The Mets, it's been 100 years. So.
No, it hasn't.
I'm
2000,
kidding, I know.
2002, I think, is the last time they went to the World Series. But, yeah, so we'll see. Minnesota, they're one of those teams that for some fucking odd reason they're always a threat to beat you, but they just never win a fucking Super Bowl. Now, they've been to the Super Bowl 4 times, but have never won. I think Detroit will probably win a Super Bowl before Minnesota. That's all.
If Detroit continue to do what they're doing, yes, I agree with that.
They had a chance to be in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. If they can play the same way that they played last year, I would say they definitely have one of the best shots to get there.
Yes.
Agreed.
Overall, I think the NFC North can be a great
The NFC North is,
division.
and what I meant by that comment that I made earlier is the NFC North is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, because there's just
Yes.
a lot of back and forth.
They used to call the NFC, and it used to be called the NFC Central. It was the black and blue division because they beat the fuck out of each other. We want to talk rivalries. Rivalries in the NFC North Central, they're natural fucking rivals. They've been each one of these teams. The Bears and Packers have been around since the beginning. The Vikings joined in like the 1960s, I think. Right about the same time as Dallas did. And they were good right away.
Yeah.
And they've been rivals with Green Bay. And it's a natural rival. Minnesota, Wisconsin, they fucking hate each other.
Just like Illinois and
I love
Wisconsin.
Gina, but she lives in Minnesota. I keep telling her to get the fuck out of that state. Detroit, Green Bay, the Thanksgiving games. Natural fucking rivals. Chicago, Green Bay. They've been rivals ever since the fucking beginning.
Yep.
The NFC North is so good. When the NFC North is good, NFL's doing great things.
Sick of this internet.
That's fine. I get you. We're almost done. But you can go ahead. You can go ahead and speak on what. And I agree with Rayshawn. The NFC North is going to be fun. It's looking like the NFC North could be good. In a couple of years, the NFC North will probably be the best division in football.
I can see that. But it's up to, honestly, Bears and Vikings. They gotta do what they got.
They got to do what they got to do.
Yep.
Again, or yeah. I mean, you still said that the Vikings and the Bears was once the best in that division. They need to like just make it great again. I don't understand.
They're
What's the hassle?
trying to, but they keep on taking steps back because these general managers seem to think that quarterbacks are the answer to everything. We're just going to throw them to the fucking wolves.
And with the Lions, look how many times they changed coaches.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching football for like 5 years now, and the Lions. This is the best I have seen the Lions so far.
I mean, I'm going to put it to you like this. Why do you think Green Bay has been so successful? Because they'll draft a guy in the first round, but they'll let him sit behind the guy that is there. And Green Bay has been very, very lucky to have two, probably of the generation, the best quarterbacks of their generation. And it's arguable. Brett Favre was considered better than
Generational.
was. He was a joy to watch. Even if he would make a mistake, the thing with Brett Favre, he could throw 5 interceptions in a game, but because of the defense that they had,
It was still hard to beat them.
it was they still had a chance to win.
Yeah.
Because you had Reggie White on the other side on defense, and that defense was so good. And it was never a top 10 defense, but it was good enough to win Super Bowls. And it did. And it should have won more than what they did.
Yeah.
And then you draft Aaron Rodgers, and then he's your quarterback for 20 years or so, or close to 20 years. And then you draft Jordan Love. And then the year that he had last year, I was not fucking expecting that to happen. That's why Green Bay has been so good, because they don't fucking draft somebody and then say, hey, we're going to kick you to the curb. We're going to use you for a few more years, and then we'll kick you to the fucking curb when we think the guy is ready. And it's worked. And it's looking like it's going to work again.
Another thing that worked with them is they used Jordan Love in the preseason games, too.
Well, of course, and Aaron Rodgers is like, I'm not playing preseason. Well, okay, well then fuck you. We're just going to throw Jordan Love out there and give him some time to learn how to fucking play in the NFL.
In an actual
That's
game,
what
not just practice.
That's what preseason is for. Now, I can understand the actual starters not playing a lot, but getting them some reps,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Even if it's just the last 2 games of preseason.
Again, I'm going to say this. Why do you think New England was so good for so fucking long? Why do you think Green Bay's been so good for so fucking long? Because they don't give a... Bill Belichick didn't give a fuck if you were Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. You're here to play football.
You're gonna
fucking play. You're not gonna play the whole fucking game, but you're gonna get some fucking reps in during the game. If you don't like it, I do not want you on my team. And I can honestly tell you, that's what I truly honestly think Bill Belichick said. And everybody bought into it. You want to win a Super Bowl? Then act like it.
Mm-hmm.
Do the work.
Well, that was also something else that Bill Belichick always said. We don't live in a bubble. We don't play in a bubble.
He
Playing in
is
the cold, get used to playing in
outside.
the rain, get used to playing in hot.
Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just agreeing. He insisted on them playing outside, practicing outside. The only time he had them practicing in a bubble is when they were going into a dome. They were going on the road
Yeah.
for a dome game, and he pump up the music just,
Every coach does that, though.
yeah.
If I was to grade the free agency for the NFC North, I would give both Packers and Lions a B plus. The Bears a B, and the Vikings a B minus.
If I was doing,
No. Sorry, a C, and it's then the Vikings C minus. Sorry.
I
There we
would
go.
give both. I would give the Lions a B minus because they really did nothing.
Mhm.
I'd give the Packers maybe a B minus because they had two big signings. I would give the Bears a D because what the fuck are they doing?
They're the bad.
So
The bad.
the reason that I'm giving them a D is based on what they're going to do in the draft.
Yeah.
When I will tell you right now, my grade for them would have been higher if they fucking signed or kept Justin Fields.
Yep.
I would probably give the Bears a B plus. But based on what they're going to do in the draft, why? Why are you doing it?
Understandable.
You're getting a guy for one fucking year, hoping that Caleb Williams can win you a fucking Super Bowl year one. What the fuck are you doing?
Playing Madden.
How in the fuck? Yeah, that's exactly what they're fucking doing. In Madden, I'm sure I could take Caleb Williams and win the fucking Super Bowl. This isn't fucking Madden. That's why I find ratings fucking laughable in games. I pretty much, what I try to do is I try to make them equal. I give everybody the same fucking ratings. Now fucking play football, motherfucker. Now do your thing. That's how it should be. Because, I mean, yes, you're going to have some of those players that aren't that good. But you get what I'm saying. So, I would give Green Bay and Detroit, I'd still give the higher grade to. Minnesota, I'd give them maybe a D as well. What have they done? What are they doing?
They're farting in the wind right now until they re-sign Justin Jefferson.
And it's nothing against. They do have the pieces for Sam Darnold to win. But are they? Are they good enough? Are they good enough defensively? They're good in a pass rush, but what happens if the pass rush can't get there?
Yeah.
Then what are you going to fucking do?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
How would you rate it, Tim? How would you grade it?
Minnesota D, maybe a D plus if I'm gonna be generous, and that's being generous.
Sorry.
Bay and Detroit, I'll give them both B to B plus, only because and the reason why I'm being so generous to Detroit is because it's so easy to fuck it up by saying, "Oh, I gotta drop this. I gotta sign this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy." When the act of not signing guys also helps too.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, I'm gonna give them a C minus because I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They don't know what they're fucking doing. That's the problem.
That's why they're the Bears.
What about you, Heather?
Detroit, I'm giving the highest grade to. God damn. Sorry, the Reds are just throwing the ball all over the place except for where it needs to be.
They're doing what the Brewers were doing last night.
Detroit is going to be that solid B. Packers, probably B minus.
I think Detroit did a little bit more than what they said that wrong. I think Detroit did a little more than what Green Bay did.
Yes. Vikings, they're borderline in F.
If
right
we're
now.
talking just free agency.
Yes, just free
Free
agency.
agent.
So so if I am actually just doing free agency, not doing based on what I think they're doing in the draft, Chicago, I'd give them probably a B. I'm gonna go with a B if we're just doing free agency, but based on what I think they're going to do in the draft, it's a D because you're getting a guy rent, and it really wasn't even a free agent signing; it was a trade. That's the thing. They didn't do anything in free agency that says, "Hey, I'm blown away by what they did. They're gonna be a fucking threat." No. That's why Chicago really did nothing. Minnesota did a couple of things,
Go ahead.
but that's it. And I know Heather wants to talk. Go ahead.
I was in the middle of giving all my grades, and you just.
I know. I can't help it. But go ahead.
Vikings right now are borderline an F for me, and the Bears are just one step ahead, at best, pending the draft.
So what are they? F plus, and then the Vikings are F.
Honestly, so if it's just free agency, if you go look at it again, I think Minnesota did more in free agency than Chicago actually did. If you look at the free agent signings, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's your grade, and I get it. I think you're doing it based off of what they're going to do in the draft, too, which is fine.
Well, if you heard me, I said pending the draft.
Oh, this is her free agency grades.
And not to mention, if Vikings don't re-sign Justin Jefferson, they've lost.
Oh,
the
that
season.
grade is going. Yeah.
They've
Well,
lost the season.
that'll be after this year, though. So next year, if they don't re-sign him, then what are you doing? They should re-sign him. They'll probably re-sign him, but they have to wait for the new salary cap to kick in because I don't think it's kicked in yet. So Green Bay is waiting for the new salary cap to kick in to give Jordan Love his extension. I'm telling you, that's what they're doing. So you're probably going to see Justin Jefferson re-signed by Minnesota, and Jordan Love's going to sign his extension with Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean that's a given. Especially he was under what's his name? Aaron Rodgers for what was it, like 2 years before he left?
3
Something. Yeah.
3 years?
Yeah, it was 3.
That's your quarterback. That's that's Green Bay's quarterback.
So he was in his 4th year, but signed an extension. They didn't give him the 5th-year option. They had him sign an extension. In lieu of the if they really did it, they had him sign an extension. They just didn't give him the 5th-year option. So what they did is it saved them money on the salary cap by having him sign an extension. So they took money off the initial contract, the 4 years, and added the 5th year with they took as an extension.
Right.
Is what they did. Essentially, he got the extension with the $1 million signing. So they got rid of his first contract. His first contract became void then. Does that make sense to everybody?
No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that's their star quarterback.
No, if he can continue to grow from that, he may be better than Aaron Rodgers. Numbers wise.
I mean, I
Aaron
will hope.
Rodgers did not have the year that fucking Jordan Love did his first year. I can tell you that right fucking now.
Well, Aaron Rodgers was also taken out in the first game of the season.
No, he wasn't. He played all 16 games. Aaron Rodgers in his first year had 27 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Jordan Love,
Oh, you're talking about the Packers?
31 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. But those 11 interceptions were early on in the year. He didn't throw very many interceptions until the playoff game against San Francisco. But then he was forcing things because he kind of fucking had to.
Right.
And I was not upset or really frustrated. I had a couple moments where I'm like, what are you doing? Just because why is the quarterback doing this? But I wasn't mad that they were going to lose that game because they shouldn't have even been there in the fucking first place. I was proud to be a fucking Packer fan this year. I mean, yes, I had my moments where I exploded in that one game where I lost my shit, but they had a fucking 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter and just forgot how to fucking play defense.
I hate games that goes that way.
You dominate the whole fucking game, and then the fourth quarter you just, I think we're good. No, you're not. You're only up by 2 scores. I've seen a team score 4 touchdowns in one fucking quarter. You have to play all 60 minutes. When it comes to the NFL, you can't just play 45 minutes and call it a day. You can't. You can't play 59 minutes and call it a day. I've seen that happen. Go back
You
and
also
watch
can't
Detroit
celebrate
Green Bay.
so early too.
Green Bay was down 2 scores to Minnesota or to Detroit and ended up coming back and winning because Detroit quit playing after 59 minutes. It's silly to me. The teams quit playing. And that's on coaching.
Yes.
And that's why Joe Barry got fired. And I agree with the firing, but not in the middle of the fucking year. Not in the middle of the fucking year. It makes no sense. Firing a coach in the middle of the year makes no sense to me. Unless there's somebody that has the same philosophy but does it better, I'm not fucking firing my head coach. I'm just going to let it ride for the day.
They did the same thing to Mike.
That I didn't agree with that firing at all. Then look at Mike McCarthy. And yes, Mike McCarthy can't win the big one, but he has won the big one. I don't know what the fuck people are talking about. I see the posts all the time. Mike McCarthy can't win the big one. Dumb fucker. Are you fucking kidding me? He's been to the fucking NFC Championship game 5 fucking times. He won 1 Super Bowl. What the fuck are you smoking? He had probably a 15-1 season 1 year. The year after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy is a really good coach. People are like, oh, he couldn't win the big one. He did! He won 1 Super Bowl. So to say that he didn't win the big one, it's like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's not as good a quarterback as Tom Brady. Dumb fucker. And why is that? Because he doesn't have as many Super Bowl wins. I don't give a fuck. It takes 53 fucking guys. I can tell you right now, I put Peyton Manning on New England's football team, and I guarantee you, New England probably wins more Super Bowls than fucking Tom Brady does. Take that to the fucking bank. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Peyton Manning is 10 times the quarterback Tom Brady is.
Glad my ears are kind of clogged today.
Just saying. Anybody that wants to argue that can go piss up a fucking rope because you're wrong. There's a reason why Peyton Manning was the first player taken in that draft. There's a reason why Tom Brady was taken 199th. Peyton Manning just didn't get the fucking defense fucking around him until too late in the fucking game. I'm telling you. Tim?
What?
You're a New England fan. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me when I'm telling lies, as CM Punk would say.
I just wanted to listen to you rant. This is more fun.
No, I'm not really ranting. I'm just stating a fact. I'm saying...
Manning was a great quarterback. Brady had great teams around him, though.
Okay. Now imagine if Peyton Manning had that team around him.
Oh, he would have won way more than 2 Super Bowls.
Do you see what I'm saying? This is my point. This is my point. That's all I'm saying. People need to use their fucking head when they talk. Super Bowls mean shit to me. I can put Aaron Rodgers in New England and he'd win more Super Bowls than Tom Brady would. Why? Because he put the fucking pieces together.
And he knows how to adjust.
Aaron Rodgers would have been a piece of the fucking puzzle, not the whole fucking puzzle. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep, it does.
Tom Brady was a piece of the fucking puzzle. Peyton Manning, because he was the first pick in the draft, we have our puzzle. Now let's find some pieces. But let's not do anything with the other side of the ball because we have an offense that can score 50 points a game. Well, that scoring 50 points, they're not going to always score 50 points a game. There could be that one time where all the team does is have to make a couple of stops, which happens in the NFL, by the way. Even the really bad defenses make a stop sometime.
But why would you want to see a 50-point game?
That's all I'm saying. I don't mean, I'm not really ranting. I'm just stating the argument of who is a better quarterback is very subjective. But if you're going to honestly sit there and tell me who you would rather have on your team, I would rather have Peyton Manning than Tom Brady. I don't hate Tom Brady. I just don't think he's as good a quarterback as Peyton Manning is.
I'd rather Baker Mayfield than Peyton Manning.
I think you're smoking
I'd
dope.
rather you start drinking something else.
I think you're fucking doing like crack cocaine and shit.
I'd rather Alex Smith than Tom Brady.
Put the pieces around him, and Alex Smith was the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yes, he was.
He was picked ahead of Aaron Rodgers. There, throughout that whole draft, that whole leading up to the draft, who's going first? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers or is it going to be Alex Smith? And they said, if one of these two is not taken, first pick, they will fall in the draft to late in the first round, which happened. Which one became the franchise quarterback, though?
Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I'm saying. Now,
Just
Alex
stating the
Smith, but
facts.
Alex Smith didn't get the pieces put around him like Green Bay did.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You put the pieces around a quarterback. You can say he's a franchise quarterback, but saying he's a franchise quarterback is fucking stupid. When you have a 6th round pick, 199th pick in the draft, be a franchise quarterback. So really, is it about fucking picking a quarterback in the first fucking round? I don't think it is. I think it's honestly about putting the pieces together and putting a team on the field that can compete and fucking win football games. Because it's not about one fucking guy when it comes to the NFL. It's about 53. There's really only 2 sports that you can argue is about an individual, and that is wrestling.
And NBA.
I mean, you still need the other guys around you. And baseball.
Baseball.
Because it's just you and
At the bat.
and if the one guy, it's not going to just take one guy to carry a team, but still it's an individual sport. Nobody else is playing shortstop for you.
Yeah.
You were playing, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that fucking goddamn Trent Brown, who's 6'8", 380 pounds, can play fucking wide receiver. My point is, it's a team concept. Baseball, really, it's a team concept, but it's about individualism because you don't win by getting somebody out. You win by scoring runs. How do you score runs? It takes that individual to hit the ball or be patient at the fucking plate.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes that individual on defense to make sure he don't hit the ball so that they can win.
So that's where I stand. Wrestling, you're the only one on that mat. You can't tag somebody in.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I've been on probably one of the bigger stages as far as wrestling goes. I've wrestled in front of 10,000 people before. And let me tell you something. It is not. And everybody talks about how, and you're on spotlight. Like this wrestling tournament, they had the spotlight on you. Like literally, the spotlight is on you. You ever seen the movie Vision Quest?
No,
Yes, I have.
Everything's dark except for the 2 guys in the middle of the fucking ring. That's the way they do this wrestling tournament. And I'm telling you what, and I don't know if they do it anymore, but you're blown away. I was blown away by being in this, and you got people, 10,000 fucking people, and you're a 15-year-old kid wrestling, probably one of the best wrestlers in the state. It can say actually the kid that I wrestled was ranked number 2 in the nation. I hung in there, but he kicked my ass. Because I was just so in awe of what was going on around me. I was more worried about what was going on around me than what was going on in front of me. It's really hard to fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
But I was proud that I didn't get pinned by him because he pinned everybody else. So that's sports to that's individual sport to me. That's because it's just you. That's how I feel.
Well, that's the definition of individual sport.
Right, but baseball, you can also argue that that's an individual the individualism comes with the hitting.
Yes.
In golf.
Golf is another sport, but that if you do that that's another sport where if you do it for
Living.
money,
Oh.
I don't know if I could do it. I would be Happy Gilmore on the golf course. I went golfing with my brother one time, and well, it was me and I don't know if you've ever met Jamie. He's a redhead kid. You've seen him at Walmart. Okay, so yeah, you did. He was at the Walmart during COVID.
Okay.
He had his wife. You've met him. But
I know
we
him,
were
but I
avid.
saw him.
We were like on a Saturday or a Sunday. He didn't want to be around my wife and shit. I'm like, fuck this. So I ended up I'm like, let's go golfing. So me, my brother, and this other kid named Jamie, we went golfing, and we were on hole 1. And my brother missed a putt, and he threw his putter in the fucking air and took a divot out of the green. He was so mad because it was like a little short putt and he missed it. And he's just throwing his clubs. I mean, I did the same thing. I do the same thing sometimes.
Oh, I had the same way
We're
on the
so
course.
competitive. Me and my brother are so competitive. It's just it's a family thing. We're very competitive.
Yeah.
I lost to my in bowling even. I bowled against my uncle. He was on another team and I was on another team. I looked at him and said, "Fuck you. I don't like you anymore." And then I never lost to him again. But so that's where I stand. I mean, that's sports to me. It's about the individual, but with football, it takes 53 guys on offense. It takes 53 guys. Well, it takes 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. You get the concept. Yeah. You're relying on somebody else to do something. In baseball and wrestling, you're not relying on anybody else. It's all you.
Mm-hmm.
That's individual sport to me. That's all I got to say about that. Sorry.
Nobody got nothing else to say about the NFC North. I think this is a good way to go ahead and end it all. So, by the way, we didn't do a disclaimer. This is pre-draft.
Yes, it is. So next week
we're going back to the AFC.
Let's do the AFC East.
AFC East, you got it.
So Tim, do your homework.
My boy Bill.
I got homework. Yep. Yes, I sound like an idiot there. I intended
Josh
to.
Allen.
So we'll do the AFC East and then do the NFC East.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the AFC West and the NFC West. And
I'm
down.
NFC.
All you got to do is we'll talk after this about when we'll do that.
Absolutely.
All right. Got anything, Heather? No? I know I sound like the host. Go ahead, Rayshawn.
No, because you know what? The host is going to ask you to close the show.
Chicken.
I got nothing.
I like chicken.
Go ahead, Rayshawn. I don't have anything.
I don't know how to.
Tim, do you have anything?
Nope, I'm all set.
Rayshawn, back to you.
I don't have anything. Back to Heather.
Come on, Rayshawn. It's not that hard to end the show. With that being said.
With that being said.
Thank you
for joining us
we'll see you
and talking
time.
NFC North.
No, we're going to talk to. Thank you for joining us and talking the NFC North.
Yes, that's what he said.
Next week we'll be back with the AFC East.
I love it.
Works for me.
Perfect ending. We tag team on it.
Usually you say have a good night.
Oh, and have a good night. Or morning, depending on the time you're watching it.
Click again. There you go.
That being said.